Kidding? Just one shot?
They're not all zombies, Doug. How do you fight this thing?
Maybe we could drown it in A1 sauce.
Well, sometimes that is better. The person you put up there ain't the person that comes back.
It's a dance song to get down with. About 6 feet under. Get there.
Ooh, I love this song.
And now we come to the thrilling final episode of our radio drama.
Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 289 of the Rotten Views podcast. Hopefully you all are doing well out there in audio land, podcast land. Maybe in the future listen to this episode on YouTube, because I upload the episodes on YouTube at a different time than I do on Spotify. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate that. Thanks for coming around, listening to me talk about silly movies. It means a lot. Got another early morning recording on our hands. We got the coffee flowing, already 1 cup down and feeling good for the day and about everything that's going to be accomplished today. Got a lot of content coming out, and this is pre-recorded ahead of time, weeks ahead of time before it's even going to come out. So I'm not sure the exact date this one's going to come out, but it's going to be a fun one because I've already seen this movie. I've actually watched it 3 times now since mentioning it on the previous episode, just because I enjoy it so much. It's just a fun movie to put on actually in the background and listen to while you're working on other stuff. So hopefully you guys will enjoy it. I think you will, especially if you're a new listener. You know, you search this movie out probably because you like Gary Busey. And if you do, I'm okay with that because deep down, I like Gary Busey as well. But of course, I haven't even mentioned what the movie is, so if you pre-download each episode each week, I appreciate you returning listeners. Thank you very much. Today, we are talking about Eye of the Tiger, not the song. We're talking about the movie from 1986. I'm really curious because they have the song in the movie, so I'm really wondering how much that licensing deal cost to get the song in the movie, and I'm wondering how much Busey made off of this movie, because I feel like it's at a point in time where he probably was making a good chunk of change for going into movies. I don't think he was like ever a top billing actor, but he was definitely up there. I know there's plenty of movies that he's been in that I've enjoyed, but we'll talk about that in a few. While we're here, let's just jump right into the housekeeping section.
Housekeeping?
I think you're sleeping.
Housekeeping?
Could you come back in an hour?
Housekeeping, you want towels?
More towels. Need sleepy.
Housekeeping, you want mint for pillow?
Please go away. Let me sleep for the love of God.
As always, if you want to help the podcast out, no matter whatever podcast platform you're listening to, feel free to leave a like, a comment, hit that share button. That share button does help out a lot. You want to share it with your friends, your coworkers, people you don't like. I don't know if you're up to that. That's cool. I appreciate it nonetheless. Just share it with whoever you want on Facebook, X, Twitter, whatever. I know I just said Twitter and X. I'm still not used to them being one. My bad. Share it on Threads if people use that. Whatever site you use, I guess. Probably Facebook is the easiest, or Instagram stories would be easy as well. Yeah, we're supporting that Meta brand. But if you're listening on iTunes, feel free to leave a review. If you're listening on Spotify, feel free to leave a comment on the episode that you enjoyed. Let me know what you like. Let me know what you want to see next. If you're also on Spotify, feel free to leave a star review. I'd appreciate that. If you want to leave a 5-star, thank you very much. Anything else works as well. It doesn't need to be a 5-star. Even if you want to leave a 1-star. I hope I can find the truck that Gary Busey has in the movie and run you over. But that's besides the point. I wouldn't really do it. I mean, unless it was on like GTA where, you know, you don't really die, then sure, we can play some video games and I'll kick your ass in it. But that's besides the point. Let's get back on topic because we're still in the housekeeping section. Maybe you want some extra content. If you want some extra content, guess what? you're in luck. Follow me on all social media accounts at Typhonsign. I'm on Instagram, Facebook, X, Threads, TikTok. But the main thing you should definitely check out is the YouTube channel. You want to know why? Because there's hours upon hours of free content, and it's just one click away in the description below. That's clever, huh? Go click it. Go check it out. Go subscribe. On the YouTube channel, you can check out older episodes of the podcast uploaded every single Monday. I upload a new game video every single Wednesday. I have daily shorts going out for my daughter's Lunchbox Surprise series or any actual artwork that I've been doing. I've been posting that in the short section over there, not the reels, because reels are Instagram and shorts are YouTube. They're all the same freaking thing. It's short video content. That's all it is. I don't know why they all have to be different names for different sites, but whatever. It is what it is. Or you can also check out the community tab, because I've been posting my On This Day in Horror piece. Each and every single day. And unless you don't want to see it on YouTube, maybe you don't like YouTube, you can go check out the Rotten Reviews podcast Instagram page, where I post over there as well daily for the On This Day in Horror postings, as well as anything podcast related. And we actually have some podcast clips coming out now. Just been playing around with some different editing and whatnot, so hopefully you guys will check those out and enjoy those as well. And every now and then I do live streams as well on YouTube, so that's another reason why you should go over there, subscribe, turn on the bell notifications. That way you get notified every single time I either post a video or go live. It's a fun place over there, so definitely go check it out. Maybe you want to help support the podcast a little bit more. Maybe you want some cool swag. Is that still a word that the young people use? Is swag still a word? Is that cool? Is that hip? Let's be honest, my listener base is in their mid-30s for the most part. Go buy some podcast merch. I mean, you don't have to. You can just go check it out and share it as well. But go check out the TeePublic link site down below if you want to buy some podcast merch. I have the Rotten Reviews podcast shirt in tie-dye colors as well. Pretty cool. The tie-dye's coming back now, guys. If you weren't aware, it's coming back. We also have stickers and other merch over there as well. And hopefully, I don't want to say too much, but I should be dropping a new t-shirt design here within the next couple weeks. I have it all sketched out. I just gotta find the time to actually fully draw it, which is the hard part. But enough about that. If you want some extra content, maybe you're a wrestling fan. Maybe you want to check out the CWC Canadian Wrestling Championship page. We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, as well as a YouTube channel where I've been posting very short and doing like little audio segments here and there. Questions of the day. I want to do more questions of the day. Again, it's just finding the time to do so is the hard part. But we'll get it all sorted out and figured out at some point in time. But with that being said, I think that's all the housekeeping stuff that I need to blab about. Let's get started on talking about this movie, because this is going to be a fun one. I enjoy it, and I hope you guys will as well. So today's movie is from 1986. It's an action-adventure movie for an hour and 32-minute runtime. You can watch it on Plex. You can watch it on Tubi. At least upon doing this episode and recording it, they were on there. I know they swap out their movies every now and then. So if you are listening to this at a later date, they might not be available there. I just want to let you guys know that, because some people might complain. We are watching Eye of the Tiger from 1986. Before I do get into this movie, though, and discussing it a little bit, for new listeners, of course, I like to mention it a couple times before we do get fully into the episode. If you're a new listener, I talk about the movies from start to finish. I hit all the points in between that interest me. So that means it's going to be a very spoiler-heavy episode. So I just want you to know that before we do get into the episode, because I don't want anyone complaining that I spoil too much of the movie, because that's just my podcast format, and that's what I do. It's not for everyone, of course. It's something that I enjoy doing, so just wanted to let you know. This movie came out in 1986. I'm giving you some time to go watch it. You had plenty of time to go watch it. You probably never even heard of it, to be honest with you, because I didn't know about it until a couple weeks ago. But anyways, let's get back into the movie at hand. This movie has a 5.7 out of 10 on IMDb, 20% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 4.5 out of 5 on Amazon.ca. Apparently 78% of Google users have enjoyed this movie. Initial release date was November 28th, 1986. Apparently had a budget of $3 million. I'm assuming most of that money went to Busey and the truck in the song, actually. I think those three things is probably what took up the majority of that budget. I could be wrong, though. I've been wrong multiple times. I'm just taking an assumption and a guess, that's all. The description as read from IMDb. Returning home from prison, a Vietnam War veteran sets out to clean up his hometown, which has come under the control of a violent motorcycle gang. This movie is directed by Richard C. Serafine. I definitely butchered that last name, but if you're a returning listener, you know I'm good for that. That's like my calling card. That's like my trait. He was also the director for 1971's Vanishing Point. Great movie. He was also Uncle Lou in 1999's Blue Streak. Another really good movie. He was Jack Dragna in 1991's Bugsy. I'm assuming that's a mafia romance movie by the looks of the cover. I don't know that one at all. He also played the character Gino Marzone in 1996 Bound. I'd never even heard of that movie, so I know nothing about it. He was also the director for a TV miniseries in 1981 called The Gangster Chronicles for 13 episodes. And he also was the director for 1981's Gangster Wars. Well, and now that we've talked about the director, let's hop over to talking about the writer. This movie only has like the main director, of course, and one main writer, shockingly enough, because most movies we talk about have multiple writers, but this one has one, which I'm okay with. The writer is Michael Thomas Montgomery. They were the producer as well for Eye of the Tiger, 1986, of course, the movie we're talking about today. They were the writer for 1987's Rolling Vengeance, another good movie. I think I might have done that one on the podcast. I know I watched it within the last year and a half. I can't remember if it was for my free time or for the podcast. If it wasn't for the podcast, guess what? That movie's going to come up at some point in time this year. He was also writer for 1993's South Beach, which I don't recall that one at all. But he was a producer in 1995 for 3 episodes of a TV show I loved as a kid, Masked Rider, which is probably like Kamen Rider, Japanese, Mythos, Power Rangers, all that kind of stuff. I grew up loving Power Rangers and all that kind of stuff, so I'm definitely all for that. He was also the writer for 1997's Night Vision. So now that we're done talking about the director and the writer for this movie, let's talk about the cast members. We're going to talk about Yaphet Kotto first. I probably butchered the first name on this one and not the last name like I usually do. He's playing the character of JB. He plays one of the officers in the movie, and he's on the good side, just so you guys are aware. He's not one of the jackass cops in this one. He's also was Parker in 1979's Alien. He was Alonzo Mosley in 1988's Midnight Run. He was Mr. Big in 1973's Live and Let Die. As well, he was Longley in 1987's The Running Man. I remember the character. I don't know how to pronounce the name properly. But something that's also funny, or actually neat, I should say, not funny. In 2014, for the video game Alien Isolation, he actually came back to do his voice for Parker. That game was great. I don't know if I actually have it recorded on my YouTube channel or not, but I did play that one all the way through, and I thought it was an excellent game. I loved it, and I might have to replay it maybe if I don't have the videos for it. He was also Lieutenant Al Gerardo for 122 episodes from 1993 to 1999 in a TV show called Homicide: Life on the Streets. I've never had the chance to actually watch that show. I actually do want to watch it. I don't know what app it's. I don't even know if it's even on any of the streaming apps, to be honest with you. You might have to find a download site for that one. I'm not suggesting that by any means. If you can find it on an actual paying app site, that's probably the best way to go, and that's the safest way to go. But sometimes maybe it's on YouTube. Who knows? You find a lot of weird things on YouTube as well. So, but let's talk about our main man. Let's talk about Gary Busey, who's playing the character of Buck Matthews. Sounds like a tough, hard-working man. 1991, he plays Papas in Point Break. Go for Buck Matthews, the Papas. He was also Buddy in 1978's The Buddy Holly Story. Shocking to look at him in that movie. He was Joshua in 1987's Lethal Weapon and Commander Krill in 1992's Under Siege. But there's a movie that's not mentioned that we definitely have to mention because, well, it's one of my favorites. And I would feel wrong in not doing so. I just got to figure out the year of it because I don't have it off the top of my head. Oh, in 2015, he was also Badass Santa voice in Killing Floor 2. I actually think I remember that, to be honest with you. Oh, another one that we got to talk about. He was the main character, Millard, in the Ginger Dead Man Chronicles, 1 and 2. I don't know if I'm sure there's probably other ones because it's a full moon feature. And why wouldn't there be other movies in that series? It's a fun series. If you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend checking it out. And we did the first episode, or the first movie, as an episode of the podcast. Don't ask me what episode because I'm not looking back. I'm not. No, you can find it. There's a search bar on Spotify for that reason. He was also the voice in 2006 of Phil Cassie in Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories. Okay, it took me a little bit longer scrolling. He's in a lot more movies than I thought he was. The movie I want to talk about is from 1985. It's a Stephen King movie, and for me, it's one of the top werewolf movies. It's up there in the top 5 for me personally, at least. He plays the character of Uncle Red in Stephen King's Silver Bullet, and that's a movie I love. Can't remember if I've actually done it for the podcast or not, now that I'm thinking about it. I think I have. I think I did at one point in time like a month worth of werewolf movies, but that was like back in episode 200 or somewhere around there. So I think I'm gonna have to backtrack and actually check and see tonight or after this episode. And if I haven't, guess what? That one's coming out later this year as well, because, well, I like that movie a lot, but I feel like I've already done it. But enough about talking about just Gary Busey. Let's talk about the movie at hand. This movie does have a tagline. It's nothing crazy by any means. Tagline is, just a man and his will to survive. Yeah, usually I skip the trivia section and the goose section if I haven't seen the movie. And I was going to skip it just for the sake of skipping it. But now reading the trivia section, it puts a different aspect on the movie. The little girl, the 10-year-old, his daughter in this movie. Apparently on July 25th, 1988, her and her mother were both killed, and it seems it was a double murder-suicide committed by their own father. And I'm not going to give out names. If you want to look at names, you can definitely look up names. It's a crazy thing to think of. Like, that seemed to be a very common thing back in the day. I mean, murder's still a common thing nowadays, but it's like looking at these young actresses and like they having horrible parents. Some of them, like the voice actress for Ducky from Land Before Time. I know she was murdered by her father as well, and I think the mom was murdered. I hope that's not the same character. Now I gotta look that up. For goddamn sakes, it's the same person. I didn't even realize that the little girl in the movie was the voice actress for Ducky, of all things, from Land Before the Time. She was also Anna Marie in 1989's All the Dogs Go to Heaven. Apparently she plays the character of Thea in 1987's Jaws of Revenge, and Bean in 1987's Slam Dance. I know usually I only talk about a couple of cast members, but yeah, it's crazy that I've watched a little bit of a documentary on the family, and yeah, apparently the dad had a lot of issues. He always thought his wife and the daughter were just going to up and leave him, so apparently he, I guess, thought it was best to, solve that issue in the way his broken mind thought was best. I don't know. I'm not a crime podcast person, so like I'm not gonna be able to discuss that matter, know what points to hit at. But it's crazy to think that, I was just mentioning the two of them, thinking that they're two different people, and had a gut feeling to go check, and here they are one and the same. Puts a different perspective on the movie. I mean, it doesn't sound like the same Ducky that I remember from Land Before Time, but apparently the kid was very talented, and sadly taken way too soon, so. But enough of the down stuff, enough of the sad moments and whatnot. Let's talk about the movie at hand. We're talking about Eye of the Tiger. I'm going to be jumping into the movie here, so this is going to be your final warning. If you don't want to be spoiled on anything. Like I said, this movie came out in 1986, before I was even born. So you guys had plenty of time to watch it. You probably didn't know about, though, to be fair. So, but like I said, if you want to, it's on Plex and Tubi at this point in time to go watch. So if not, just sit back, relax, listen to me talk about the movie, and hopefully you either want to go see it. I hope you will want to see this movie, because I think it's a fun action movie. It's a silly action movie. Like, what do you expect? It's an 80s action movie. 80s action movies, I think, were ahead of their time. I love them. They're quirky. They're not great by any means, but I love them so much. So, but with that being said, if you're listening at home, hopefully you're comfy, hopefully you're inside. I know we're getting snow again. I don't know why. I'm just tired of snow. I want spring. I want the warmer weather to show up. It's not like I'm a guy that walks around in shorts or anything, but I'm tired of seeing snow. All right, I'm tired of it. But that's besides the point. That's my little rant. Don't worry about it. If you're at work, hopefully this helps you get through the day. Hopefully it makes the hours pass by. And I know most of you fine folks, you like to listen car when you're going to pick up the kids from soccer practice or going shopping, whatever it might be. Keep your eyes on the road. Get to where you're going nice and safely. That way you can show up to next week's episode that won't be so depressing. I mean, this episode won't be depressing. That one segment was depressing, but that's besides the point. Other than that, once this movie gets going, it's going to be a fun one. And I know it's going to be a fun one because, like I said, I've already watched it a couple of times before recording this. And, yeah, I just enjoy it. But with that being said, let's get started on the movie at hand. Like I said, Eye of the Tiger from 1986. So let's go.
Presents Saturday Night at the Movies, the television series which each week brings you the finest in recent motion pictures. Tonight,
Gary Busey is Buck Matthews. After 4 years in Nam and 3 years in prison, he's come home to find his family and his worst enemy waiting for him.
What in God's sakes wrong with you people? Don't you know what's going on out there? You know, it don't matter how we wish things were. It matters how we deal with how they are.
You made a big mistake, Matthews.
You know, nobody ever stood up to them before. They are going to take it personal.
Sometimes when I was in prison, I get a feeling, just before something bad would happen. Yeah.
These people killed my wife, and nobody's doing a thing about it.
Do me a favor, huh? Get out of this town. Let these maggots have it.
I'm not running.
They're just playing with you, you know. Soon enough, they're gonna kill you.
I knew you'd be around here somewhere.
You got a plan?
I'm praying for vengeance.
Face to face, fist to fist, and only one will survive.
You and me!
Gary Busey, Yaphet Kotto, Eye of the Tiger.
The movie starts out and it says Scotty Bros Pictures, and it looks like a Super Mario font, and I'm okay with it. I like it. I don't know anything about them by any means, but I think it looks like a cool cover image or intro image. And then we just cut right to the prison, right to the jail, where we see Gary Busey's character Buck Matthews getting dressed, getting ready to be released as well. There's another guy getting dressed as well at the same time. The other guy is named Jamie. He's fully dressed in a white suit. He's got like a scar going down the side of his face. He's got a nice trim goatee. He's like a Scarface-esque character, and we'll only hear about him a couple more times in the movie, which is crazy because I would love to see what Jamie does on the side for him to be able to help Buck out like he does. But anyways, Buck gets to leave. They kind of just have like a look, eye-to-eye contact. Buck leaves, and then Jamie's like, "Hey, so it's time for me to leave it now, hey?" He's like, "I'm checking over his stuff, making sure that he's getting everything," because like he's like a Miami gangster Scarface ripoff character essentially. And then they both leave the prison together, and then it just cuts right into the Eye of the Tiger song as the intro credits start to roll in. I think you hear the song a couple times, and then the Eye of the Tiger font pops up on the screen, and it actually looks pretty cool. So I'm assuming they spent a good amount of money on Busey, the song, and the truck that comes in later on in the movie. I think that's for the most part. I think there's also like a James Brown song that comes in later. So it's $3 million probably was a big budget for an 86 movie. I wouldn't really know the logistics of that kind of thing back in the day. So Buck left a little bit sooner than Jamie did because, they can't leave at the same time. So Buck's already walking down this dirt road, and Jamie comes up driving behind him. He's not driving. He's sitting in the back seat as his buddy, his driver, is driving the Rolls Royce. He's like, come on, Buck, get in the car. Let's go get drunk. Let's go have some fun. He's like, come on, at least let me take you home. Let me take you to where you're going so you don't have to walk all the way. Buck doesn't want help with anything at all, but apparently Jamie feels the need to because Buck saved him in prison because these other guys were going to come up, and I guess Buck stepped in to stop the fight or kick their ass, one of the two. So we start to see the little town that Buck lives in, and we see these motorcycle guys. They're on dirt bikes, just ripping through towns, throwing out smoke all over the place. And then behind them, we see Buck and Jamie showing up. And Jamie's like, wow, your town looks like shit. Why don't you come to Miami with me? Like, why do you want to be here? Jamie's like, why don't you come to Miami with me? I'll make you legitimate rich. Don't worry. It'll legitimate work. My family's got lots of business. Come on, man. And Jamie just feels this urge to help Buck out because, like I said, Buck saved his life in prison. And he can't go away without helping Buck out. He just feels like, as a man, he's like, I got to repay my favor to you because I can't just, leave you high and dry. But Buck doesn't want payment for anything, so he just goes into the sheriff's office, where apparently the sheriff is going to be his parole officer. And guess what? Well, the sheriff doesn't like him at all. The sheriff's actually a dickhead in this movie. First off, the sheriff's like, you should ask your parole officer to parole you to another town because I don't want you in this town. I don't care for you at all, and you're an ex-convict and a killer. I just don't want you in this town, and you're a real mean son of a bitch, and you shouldn't be out on the streets. You should be back behind bars, and if you slip up at all, if you shit where you're not even supposed to shit, I'm going to put you behind bars for the rest of your life. Even if you fart where you're not supposed to fart, you're going behind bars. And then we see Buck leaving the office. And that's when we meet JB, who's a fellow officer for this dickhead sheriff. But JB's actual nice guy. And he's kind of like an outcast in the town because, well, he's African American. And I don't really think there's many African American people in this little town. This little redneck center of the world, essentially. Anyways, JB and Buck go over to this little convenience shop, and out of nowhere, Buck just walks out with 2 gifts wrapped already. We don't see him buy them or anything. He just walks out. He walks in, walks out. 80s movie. It's logic. Anyways, then Jamie's driver comes over, hands Buck a piece of paper, and JB's like, "Who's that?" He's like, just a guy from prison, no big deal." And we see Buck open the paper, and it says anything, anytime, anywhere. And then it just gives his phone number down below. Because that's going to be the last time we actually see Jamie in the movie. Because he's going back to Miami. And I don't really know where this place is actually based out of. So I'm not sure why Jamie is even out in the middle of nowhere in a prison. But, it's just plot holes. It's no big deal. So we see JB taking Buck home, where we see his little girl all happy to see him. And JB's like, so what was on the note? And Buck's like, anytime, anywhere, anything. And JB's like, oh, so what's her name? He's like, no, it's nothing like that, JB. We see Buck give the little girl her present, and then, he goes over to talk to his wife, being like, hi, I know it's been pretty hard on you, but guess what? It won't be hard anymore because I'm not going back to prison anytime soon. See the little girl, she's all excited because of the gift her dad got her, and it's like this ballet dancer that's like a music box, essentially. You just spin it and it starts to play music. So it's later that evening, and Buck and his wife are talking, and they're going over everything, and his wife lets him know that the job's there and he starts tomorrow night. And apparently he's going to be playing security, and she's very upset with it because apparently he was a high-ranking foreman at a construction site, and now he's working the security duty. He's like, well, it's fair, I got to get back into the system. Which Buck is okay with starting from the bottom again. He understands it, he gets it, and his wife is very upset with it, being like, no, they just don't want you being foreman again because you're an ex-con and a murderer. You went away for murder, and they're pretty much gonna just act like you're not who you are because you're a good foreman, and now they're just gonna give you the shitty job just to say, hey, well, at least he's got a job. And then the daughter walks in and be like, hey, you guys ever gonna stop talking? And Buck, starts tickling his daughter, and he looks over at the wife, being like, hey, it's a job, it's not much, but hey, guess what? I need a job, because we need money. Then we see Buck showing up to the job site, and he meets up with good friend Jimmy, and Jimmy's like, good to see you back, boss. He's like, no, I'm not the boss right now, I'm just, working security, no big deal. Not sure why a construction site in the middle of nowhere needs a security guard, but whatever, I'm not the writer for this. But yeah, Jimmy's like, you know, you're going to be foreman again at any point in time because the people running this job site, they don't know what they're doing. We've been here for months. But we see Buck walking around the top of this construction site, and we see, like, him looking out around the surrounding area, and there's nothing for miles. So I'm not sure, like, why you would need security in a small-ass town, but it's fine. And then we just cut to the street, and we see a bunch of those biker gang guys riding their blacked-out dirt bikes and their blackout outfits down the street. So unless everyone knows really about how dangerous this gang is, maybe that's the only reason you would need security, I guess, would make the most sense. You know, it's a common reoccurrence. And later on in the movie, we'll find out why they're so common in the town. Then we see this lady, her name is Dawn. She's a nurse. She's leaving the hospital, clocking out for the night. And of course, she's driving her little like Ford Pinto, and she's getting ready to leave. And of course, then the music starts to pick up, and those biker gang guys show up yet again to cause some havoc. And then we just cut, and we hear a car horn honking. We hear a dog barking, and then Buck comes out of his little office being like, huh, what that sound is. And then we hear a woman screaming, and it's Dawn. So then he decides to run to his truck to go see what's going on, to go try and, you know, stop whatever incident might be happening. Because we gotta remember, this is like Buck's second day out. He knows nothing about the biker gang. And then we cut back to where the biker gang is. They have her car off in like the construction site somewhere, and a bunch of the bikers are like running around her. They're ripping out her clothes, and they're going to try and R-word her. And then Buck's like, not on my construction site, you're not going to. He takes his old pickup truck off of a jump, hits a couple of the bikers, and then starts driving around and driving towards them. And then he starts revving his truck up against like where everyone is. A couple of the bikers actually start shooting at him. They shoot the windshield out, and then they shoot the grill and the hood of the truck to the point where the hood just falls right off the truck. It like explodes off of the truck. So then we see him like revving up against the main biker at the point in time, and the lady's on the floor or the ground in front of them, between them, and he's like revving the truck, getting closer and closer, being like, if you get any closer, you're gonna run over the lady, so we're not going to be any better off. And then we see the leader of the bikers show up off on the side. And he takes his helmet off and just starts revving his little dirt bike, trying to be a badass. And his name is apparently Blade, and I didn't know that until I looked at IMDb. We then jump cut to the hospital. Dawn's there now, and Buck is now being questioned by the sheriff. He's got a couple of his little lackeys with him. And the sheriff's like, you know what? I'm the sheriff here, Buck. I'm the one that patrols and keeps everyone safe. And, you know, I'm almost questioning if I should put you behind bars for this whole vigilante crap that you pulled last night. There's no reason for you to do it. You're an asshole and you're a killer, and I'm going to keep my eyes on you. And then Buck just goes to walk away, and he's like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going back to work. And he says something about sir, and the sheriff laughs. He's like, oh yeah, call me sir. I like that. You better keep that in mind, because I'm the sheriff around here. I'm a big-ass badass. You little dickhead. Buck lied to the sheriff, though, because he's not going back to work, because he's going home where he's met with a bunch of news reporters right now being like, were you scared? Because those bikers are very scary people. Were you scared to deal with them? Anyways, it's a small town, and of course the bikers can find it out if they want to, but the news reporter are pretty much being like, we're reporting from Buck Matthews' house. See the house behind us? And then we cut to the bikers who are watching this all on TV. And the one is really pissed off and just starts throwing TV around, starts beating up everything. Because now that's going to cause some issues for Buck, because now they know where he lives. And then Buck's wife starts explaining a little bit about the bikers and how they used to stay outside of town. They're actually like drug runners. And at one point in time, they just started making their way closer and closer into town. And now it's just a common occurrence for them to always be in town. And Buck's like, well, what about JB? Doesn't he arrest some of them? He's like, yeah, he arrests them. And then they just disappear after a while. It's later that day, and then we see JB showing up to Buck's house. And he's like, hey, gave the hero the night off from work, huh? That's nice of him. Just so you know, nobody ever stands up to the bikers, and they're probably going to harass you now. They're probably either going to beat you up or, you know, try to make you leave town. And I know you're not going to stand for that, but I wanted to give you the warning. And you know, everyone's going to get pissed off because you're going to get pissed off. The sheriff's going to get pissed off. And that's going to be more of a hassle for me because we find out JB is getting ready to retire and leave town. And he feels like if the sheriff's pissed off and Buck's pissed off, he's going to have to stick around to help out his buddy. Then we see Buck sitting down at the kitchen table, cleaning his shotgun, and his wife comes out of the shower, being like, "Did I get the TV or the telephone?" He's like, "No, that's JB. He just stopped by to see how things are going." And then she's like, "Well, what do you want?" And he's like, "This gun's dirty." He's like, when I was in prison, I used to get a bad feeling. And, well, that bad feeling's coming back again, so I feel like I should clean my gun. That's when the wife starts to break down, because she doesn't want any more hassle. She doesn't want any more troubles. And she doesn't even really want to stay in the town. She's like, "We can move. I don't care. You're the one that wants to stay here. I don't want to actually even stay here." So after seeing his wife cry, he's finally like, "All right, fine. We'll leave the town. Go get our daughter. Go pack up some things. Come on. Let's go before issues start to happen. Let's make it snappy at least. We'll drive our pickup truck that has no hood now and looks like it's seen better days." It's now nighttime, and of course, they didn't get their stuff together and get out of town fast enough, because we see the bikers all showing up around Buck Matthews' house, and some havoc is about to go down. We see Buck staying in like the dining room area of the house, and we just see this wraparound window where we see a bunch of headlights outside, and he's like, "Oh shit's not going to be good," because then we see a motorcycle come right through the patio doors, comes through the window, and I'm starting to question the stability of this house, because we see Buck up against a wall holding a shotgun, and one of the guys on the dirt bike drives right through the wall like it's nothing. And then we see Buck getting tossed around. He gets tossed over the couch gets flipped on, he gets hit with a couple guns, and then we hear his daughter yelling for her dad, and also Christy, the wife, is yelling for Buck, but she's now pinned down by a couple of the gang members, like pinned down against the wall. And then next thing you know, we see more of the house getting destroyed. We see the ballerina statue music box fall to the floor. One of the biker drives over it, crushing it to pieces. And then next thing we see is Christy on the floor with no expression on her face, eyes open, and we just see the daughter sitting beside her with no expression on her face either. And then we find out later on in the hospital that the mom's dead. At the hospital, we see Buck sitting down in like the little chapel area, and Father Healy shows up, and he's like, "Do you mind if I pray with you?" And Buck's like, "No." He's like, "We are praying for the soul of your wife, right?" He's like, "No, I'm praying for vengeance." Then we see Buck, who's walking around the hospital with a cane and a bathrobe on, and he still has Jamie's number, so he goes to use the payphone to make a call to Jamie to let him know that he's on hard times right now. Then after that phone call, we see Buck's daughter in the hospital bed just staring off into the sky because, she's traumatized. And he's sitting on the edge of the bed just, trying to comfort her. And then Dawn walks in because apparently Dawn is going to be the nurse for his daughter. And Buck and Dawn just kind of have an eye to eye. And then Dawn walks away because I feel like maybe she feels a little bit guilty. Like if Buck didn't step in, she died. Apparently, probably Buck wouldn't have any issues with this biker gang, but now he does. So then we see Buck leaving the hospital. He's being wheeled out by Dawn. She's wheeling him around in a wheelchair. I guess he didn't want to walk to the door. Whatever. JB's there to pick him up, and they drive away. And then the news reporter's like, "Buck Matthews, a man who's lost so much, is now being released from the hospital." And the sheriff hears this on the radio. He's like, "God damn it, he's being released." And then we cut to the funeral, where we see Buck's wife being laid to rest, and the casket's still above ground. And of course, then out of nowhere, the biker gang shows up and starts doing like donuts around the whole graveyard area, and the sheriff just kind of like stands there and watches the whole time as they're just revving their engines. And of course, it stops the father from doing the full prayer and whatnot. And then we see Blade just standing at the top of the corner, revving his engine. And then the sheriff slowly starts walking over to him. And then Blade just drives away, and the rest of them drive away. And the sheriff's just kind of got like an evil little dickhead smirk on his face the whole time it's going on. We see JB and Buck in the car, and they're trying to trail a couple of the like biker groups. And JB's filling in Buck. He's like, "Yeah, they're in the manufacturing business, the cheap shit, the crack, and they're all over the place like ants." They got this like little base set up on an airfield where they got the little cargo plane coming in and shipping stuff out. And Buck's like, "Well, what about you? I remember when you used to be like trying to keep everyone safe, being the main man." And JB's like, "I'm done with that. You know what? It took me 20 years to become a deputy in this little hick town where any other dumbass could get it in a week." And JB's like, "I know why the sheriff has issues with you. You come back as the town hero. You come back with all these medals, and he's scared of you. He knows that he can't hold his own against you." And JB's like, I'm getting close to retire. I'm just trying to get out of this town. I'm trying to fix up my plane and just go away. So Buck's like, so I guess I'm doing this alone then, huh? We see Buck coming home, and JB's like, you can't stay here. This is not a home. And we see like walls missing, furniture's all destroyed, everything's destroyed. And Buck's like, I'm staying here. I know you got extra room in your place and stuff, but I'm staying here because this is my home. Buck picks up like the one chair that's not broken in his home. He's sitting down on it while looking at a picture that he picked up off the floor. It was a drawing that his daughter did for him saying, I love you, Daddy. And then we cut to the biker gang area where we see the airfield. We see a bunch of the guys just sitting all around. We see a plane being unloaded. And it's very Mad Max looking, I guess you could say. Very like slumlord looking. And then we cut and see the sheriff meeting up with Blade, the leader of the gang. And the sheriff's like, you broke the rules. And Blade's like, I make the rules. And that's when we then see some money switching hands. And we find out that the cop and the gang are working together. Because the cop's like, I'll just let you guys come through town. You can stay in town. Do whatever you want. Just don't harass the people too much. Don't, R-word anyone, don't kill anyone, don't cause any more issues than needed. You can use the whole town pretty much and have it to yourself. And then that's when we see Blade giving the sheriff a big wad of money for essentially paying him off. And then this is where the movie gets interesting, because we then see this big transport with a full-on enclosed trailer showing up. The music starts to change, and everyone's kind of watching this transport being like, I've never seen one of those looking like that. What's going on here? We see this big rig showing up to Buck's house, and we see this Mexican guy coming up being like, hello? Nobody's answering. And then Buck shows up on the front porch with a shotgun. He's like, hey, I'm friendly. I'm here for, Jamie. He's got something for you in the truck. The guy gives Buck a letter, and it's from Jamie being like, we're even now. And then we see this black Dodge Ram Power Wagon coming out of the back of this transport, and it's fully equipped with like bulletproof glass, bulletproof siding pieces, and it's even got like a control panel inside where he pulls up a joystick. It's got rocket launchers, it's got built-in guns. It's like a badass James Bond like blacked out truck, and it's definitely one of the better parts of this movie. Just putting that out there now, because I love this truck. We see Buck going to the hospital where Don's taking care of his daughter, and Don's like, I think her vital signs are good. I think she's going to pull of it. And that's when Buck drops off a gift, and it's the same ballerina doll or music box that he gave her at the beginning of the movie. We then cut to nighttime, and we see Buck in the middle of town, and he's pulling a wire across the main street, I would assume, and attaching it to the winch system or pulley system on the front of his truck. And this rope, or I should say metal string, essentially, is pretty much, let's say throat area. It's like, say, something like, I don't know, was riding down the street on a bike. Because guess what? Then we see 3 of these biker gang guys coming down the middle of the road, and, well, one of them gets decapitated. The other 2 just fall and, like, crash their bikes. But then Blade shows up, and he's looking at the severed head that's still stuck in the helmet, being like, oh, that was my brother. Jesus. It's like, how could you tell he was your brother? Because you all wear the same gear. You wear the same helmets. You ride the same bikes. You wear the same shirt, pants, everything. But yeah, we just sit there and look at Blade, who's sitting on his bike, staring down at the severed head, being like, oh, way, Jesus, way. And it kind of just prolongs the whole effect of, I'm pissed off now. My brother's dead. It's now the next day, and we see Buck handcuffed in the sheriff's office, sitting in a chair, and the sheriff's like, it's gotta be you. Definitely know it was you. That's why I got 3 dead people in my city. He's like, well, you gotta prove it. And then the cop just starts backhand and be like, I gotta prove it, huh? I gotta prove it. He's like, yeah, you gotta prove it. He's like, you were an asshole before you went to prison, and you're an asshole still now. I'm gonna make sure you go back to prison. And JB's staying in the office, and he's getting very ticked off by this because he can't stand the sheriff. So then the sheriff's like, get this man out of my office. And that's when he wants one of the other lackeys to grab Buck. So then JB pushes the guy out of the way, be like, no, I'm going to deal with it. And then there's some words between JB and the sheriff. And the sheriff's like, you're looking at a real white man, boy. You better get it out of here, boy. And, I'll be glad to see when he dies. The sheriff sucks. We see JB's asleep on the couch in what's left of his home. And then the music starts to pick up because we see the biker gang showing up yet again. And one of them is pulling a casket. And I'm like, oh, okay. Originally thinking, oh, this is just saying you're going to die. We're going to put you in this casket. By the time Buck gets outside and they all leave, he's starting to like hurl a little bit. So we're assuming that they took the time to go dig up his wife, which is actually what happened, because later on then we see him digging a grave on his own to rebury his wife when one of the deputies show up being like, I'm really sorry about your wife there, Buck, and I know you don't want to accept anything, and I'm just really sorry about what's going on here. I know the sheriff's a dickhead and everything, and but you don't understand. You're not supposed to have that shotgun because that's a parole violation. He's like, well, you want to take the shotgun then from me? Come on, try and take it. He's like, all right, I'm not gonna do it. Do it, Buck. You already are a dead man. You just don't realize it because they're going to kill you. But I'm just gonna go on my way now. Also, this sheriff guy or deputy or whatever it might be, his name's Roscoe. Great name. He's with the sheriff, but not really with the sheriff. He doesn't really have a choice. He's kind of like a rock in a hard spot where JB is in the same spot, but JB's pushing back a little bit more, where Roscoe's just like, the sheriff probably had me murdered if I stopped back to him. So later in that day, we see Buck setting up a trap where he's got his old truck and he's setting up a bomb inside of it. Where we see three of the biker gangs, or 3 or 4 biker guys, coming down towards the road because he's off on a side road somewhere. Across the bushes, you can see like a main highway almost. Anyways, the biker guys see the truck and they just literally start shooting at it because they know it's Buck's truck. Apparently, he took the time to put a new hood on it too, because he's closing the hood. Anyways, they start shooting at the truck, and they get closer to it, and there's a dummy inside the truck, and then we just see Buck's hand, and he sets off a bomb, but we don't actually see like fire or anything from this explosion. We just see a bunch of smoke all over the place. There's smoke in the back of the truck bed that just goes up in there. The hood and doors fly off, and then the biker guys all just fall to the ground, and then we see Buck driving away in the nice black Dodge. And that's when we then hear James Brown Gravity starting to play, and Buck is driving away from that explosion, and he's driving out to this other airfield where I guess this little town has multiple airfields, where we see JB working on his like little red crop dusting style plane, because that's his whole end game. Is I'm getting ready to leave this town. I'm working on my plane, and I'm gonna fly around and travel, I guess. The whole reason why Buck is going to talk to JB is because Jen's still weak in the hospital, and Buck's standing up to this biker gang, and he's like, hey, do you by chance have anyone that can just like stand guard at the hospital so nothing happens to Jen? And JB's like, in this town, no. So then Buck just goes to leave, and he's like, all right, you know what? I'll try and find somebody and see what I can do for you. Cut back to the hospital where Buck is telling Jen that she's going to be able to go home soon, and she's saying that she doesn't want to go home because she's scared. And he's like, well, when I'm not here, Jimmy is going to be here to keep you company, and he's really good with dolls. And he's like, yeah, they're my favorite. And then we see JB showing up, and he actually does have some way to watch the room, which is just going to be essentially a throwaway character. See Buck on the phone talking to somebody, and he's explaining how the sheriff's not doing anything to help him, and they're asking for a witness. He's like, well, what about me? I was a witness to all of it. And apparently that's not good enough, so then Buck goes to storm out of the hospital. And JB's like, what are you doing? He's like, well, I'm going to go get a witness. I'm going to follow these biker guys and see what, chaos they, cause, and get a witness from that. That's when we then see this little gas station, and apparently they've been, just sitting, waiting for the biker guys to show up, because 4 of them come around the corner out of nowhere, and they start harassing this guy and girl that are leaving the gas station. And next thing you know, we see Buck chasing them down, circling the gas station, running over a couple of them. One guy gets on the top of the truck and gets ready with a hand grenade, but Buck's doing all these drive around moves and hits the brake when they're going down the highway. Next thing you know, you see that guy flying off of the roof of the truck into a ditch, and the grenade goes off. Then we just see this giant puff of smoke coming out from the ditch, and we can assume that guy's dead. We didn't see any blood or body parts going all over the place, but we're just going to assume he probably laid on the grenade and died. So they go back to chasing the last biker because they ran over one of them. And then Buck stops the truck and gets on the back of it and makes JB drive. And then as JB's chasing down this last single biker, we see Buck in the bed of the truck with a lasso, getting ready to lasso the last biker. And he does. He gets him. But the lasso is right around the guy's throat. So they take that last biker that they caught, and he's in the hospital now, and the doctor's looking him over and being like, well, it seems like this biker's not going to be able to talk because somebody crushed his throat. Sorry, the technical term was somebody caved in his larynx, and JB's like, shit. He's like, well, I guess we gotta go get another one, maybe. Or maybe there's another option. And the father's there, he's like, well, maybe the boy can write. You know, he looks like a cannibal, but maybe he's able to write. Then we cut to this like throwaway scene where the whole town is like having bingo night, and Buck just goes in being like, you know, you guys are just letting these guys take over the town. You're not standing up to them. You know, they killed my wife. My daughter's in the hospital, and like nobody's helping me at all. And I'm trying to defend this whole town while you guys just sitting in here playing bingo. And everyone just goes quiet and be like, well, I guess he's right. We see Buck doing his nightly check-in on Jennifer and letting Jimmy go home so he can get some rest. And as Buck's leaving the hospital, we see Don getting ready to leave. And he's like, hey, do you need a ride home by chance? I know you don't have a car anymore because, you know, bikers destroyed it. And she's like, yeah, actually I could. So he's like, all right, I'll drive you home. No big deal. And she convinces him to stay for a beer, which is conveniently enough that then when they're sitting down on the porch having a beer, there's a phone outside on the porch for one thing that's enclosed. Anyways, this phone starts to ring. Actually, before that, though, we saw an ambulance pulling into the hospital as they're leaving. And she's like, oh, it always makes you worried seeing an ambulance show up. I was like, yeah, you work in a hospital, whatever. Anyways, the phone rings, and we find out it sounds like it's someone calling for Buck. Anyways, they're letting Dawn know, of all people, that, hey, your daughter was just stolen, because apparently that ambulance, we see the back doors open, the paramedics are dead inside of it, and it was actually the biker guys driving the paramedics. They come in, they shoot the guard that's standing out front of Jen's room, like the guard that JB sets up, and they actually kidnap Jennifer. So then Buck's like, all right, well, shit's gonna hit the fan now. So then he drives away, speeding away, and then we cut back to the hospital where we see Father Healy is literally screaming at the sheriff, being like, why aren't you keeping anyone safe? You know, now a little girl's not even safe in a hospital bed. She gets kidnapped, and you guys aren't doing a damn thing about it. And then we see this doctor sneaking behind them. It's actually Buck in like a hospital gown and everything. He's going to check in on the buddy that they lassoed. Anyways, he's gonna make the guy talk because he's grabbing a bunch of Vaseline and putting it on a dynamite stick and shoving it up his ass. And I'm not kidding. It's where it's going, because then he lights his long ass fuse. He's like, well, you got about 32 seconds to tell me where my daughter is, or you're gonna go boom. So then the guy starts freaking out, and he's like grasping at his hand, being like, come on, give me the paper, give me the pen. He's like, you better write fast because you're going to go boom. And the biker actually does write down the information for Buck, and Buck just takes it and walks away. We see the fuse getting smaller and smaller on dynamite, and we just see the EKG machine or whatever it is, the heart rate's just going up. It's like 169, then it goes up to 221, and then it just flatlines because the guy's dead. But we don't actually hear the dynamite going off, so I'm assuming it was just a dud to try and like fool the guy, which would make sense. You don't want to blow up the whole hospital, right? Buck is still in the hospital. He takes off the gown or the jacket, and he still has the face mask on around his neck. And the sheriff's like, oh, you did now, Buck. I'm going to arrest you. If you keep walking, I'm going to shoot you. So then the Father Healy steps in between them. He's like, you do it. You got to shoot me first. I'll testify. I'll do it. So then we see Buck getting into the truck, and JB's already sitting there waiting for him. He's like, so what's the plan, man? We see the sun coming up. We see the truck driving through the like desert area as Eye of the Tiger starts to play again. We're setting it all up. We see Buck's in the truck by himself because JB is flying his plane. We see Buck scoping out the area where the bikers are. He's using his binoculars, and we see little Jennifer up in a cage up above like everyone else, and she's just sitting there looking sad and depressed. Understandably so. We see Buck driving his truck, his newly acquainted truck, through this beginning area of the compound, where we see the tailgate open up, and this compartment shoots out of the back of the truck, which has grenade launchers just in it. So he just starts grenading everything. And then Blade's like, Mayday! We got issues here, guys. There's a plane coming at us that's dropping grenades, and there's a truck that's shooting grenades. Buck is having the time of his life driving this truck around. He literally hits a ramp and literally goes through a little camper trailer like he's in a Monster Jam event. He's driving through a lot of the little shanties that are set up all over the place. We see drugs going all over the place. We see the front bumper open up a little bit by the radiator. There's machine guns in the front of the truck. He just starts shooting at everyone. We see explosions happening all over the place. He stops the truck over where Jen's, in the cage. He climbs up the stairway while they're shooting at him. He just boot fucks the door in. Like, he took such a big ass kick at this door that it looked like he was going to do the splits and fall over. We see now Buck and Jen in the truck as he's driving away, and these guys on bikes are idiots, because we can see like full on machine guns and everything mounted in the back of the truck, and these biker guys are just driving right behind him as he's shooting at them, being like, the guns can only shoot one direction, maybe don't drive right behind the truck. Just, logic, I guess. Well, they're probably so doped out they don't know what's going on. Anyways, JB's plane's been shot a little bit, so he's getting ready to land at his airfield. Buck is flooring it there so he can go pick up JB, because of course they're both being followed by the gang members still. We see a bunch of the gang members dying because grenades are still being shot out of the back of the truck, and then Blade's just standing there watching all this chaos happening. He's like, shit. It's like, yeah, no shit. Anyways, then we see in town, the sheriff has a roadblock set up because he's hoping to stop Buck. And that's when they see the truck coming down on the side of the train tracks, and the sheriff's freaking out, being like, all right, we gotta put the roadblock over there instead. So the sheriff's like, Buck Matthews, you're under arrest. Roscoe, you go arrest him. And the deputy and everyone else are just like, you know what? Actually, no. So then JB is like, hey, Buck, you need to calm down. You need to relax. So then the sheriff's like, hey, JB, you arrest him then. JB's like, nah, that's not happening. So then Buck goes over and grabs the sheriff, gut punches him, and then throws him into the truck as JB's taking Jennifer out of the truck. And we see, the sheriff is now hostage of Buck, because now Buck's driving back to where Blade and the rest of the gang members are. JB's like, what's your plan, Buck? He's like, I'm going to go deliver the garbage. So we see the truck being shot up multiple directions. It's starting to fall apart, which is the saddest part of this movie, probably. I mean, the wife dying is bad, but I'm more attached to the truck than I am the character. Anyways, the sheriff's like, come on, Buck, I'll work with you. I'll give you some money, give you half, everything will be fine. Don't worry about it, Buck. We can fix this. Anyways, the truck gets set on fire and Blade thinks everything's done. Buck actually jumps out of the truck as he's coming up on this hill, leaves the sheriff inside the truck, and the sheriff blows up with the truck. One thing too is, before the truck blows up, I'm not sure if they did it on purpose or not, but the four-ways, the cautions were actually flashing on the truck. Anyways, then we see Busey getting up, and Blade's like, everybody leave him alone. He's mine. You see Buck walking towards Blade. Blade's walking towards him. He's like, you made a bad mistake, Matthews. Never scratch dry shit. And literally, Blade's a rat, because he just ups and sacks Buck like nothing and just starts kicking him around. And at one point, we don't even know if Buck's going to be able to fight back, because he's just getting his ass kicked every step it goes. Even when he throws a punch, Blade just throws him to the ground and just puts his face in the dirt. Buck does eventually get a couple punches in, and then Blade drops him again. He knees him in the stomach and then throws him on this pile of dirt, and it just happens to be there's a shotgun there, so Buck picks it up. And Blade's like, you better shoot me in the head or shoot me in the heart, or I'm going to make you bleed. Or actually, he says, any place else and I'll kill you, slow bastard, or something along those lines. Buck doesn't actually shoot him. He shoots up at the air. And also, the whole time while Blade's talking, he looks like he's like depressed and sad. He's like, hey, I was fighting you fair. So what if I killed your wife and kidnapped your daughter and caused all this other havoc in the town? But, I was fighting you fair with just my fists. And then we finally see people actually showing up, because the police officers finally show up. JB shows up with some backup in a red Jeep that I've never seen in the whole movie, or these other guys that he's got for backup, to be honest. I didn't see them ever either. Now it's kind of like each group has their own, reinforcements. And then we see Buck and Blade fighting through this wall. They go into this drug compound area, and Buck's kicking Blade's ass. And then next thing you know, Buck is ramming Blade's face into a lot of baking soda, just so I don't get any, strikes for saying what it was. He's got a lot of baking soda in his face. He's going to die, because that's too much to consume at once, because he looks like a snowman now. Anyways, then Buck punches him a couple times. Blade drops to the ground. Eye of the Tiger starts playing again, and we're going to assume the fight's over, assuming Blade's maybe dead because all the other bikers are washing on. They're not going to help Blade at all. They just rev up their engines and then drive away. And then we see a very beaten up, bloody Buck going over to JB being like, it's good to see you. And JB's like, good to see you too. And then both of them are walking through the debris as we see, smoke all over the place. Couple cops watching, and the outro credits start to roll, and that's the end of the movie. And I gotta say, I enjoyed this movie a lot. I thought it was fun. It's an 80s action movie. I don't know what you're really expecting from it, especially with the cast. That's not saying the cast is bad by any means. I actually really enjoy the cast for this one. And I thought the aspect of Jamie bringing in that badass truck for Busey to help out, kind of even the odds, I thought was pretty cool. Nicely done truck. Explosions could be a little bit cooler. I mean, I think they saved all the explosions for the end, which makes sense because the only reason I said the explosion could be a little bit cooler is the one where he's blowing up his old truck. All you see is smoke going all over the place and like dust. You don't actually see any fire or anything else, so it's kind of odd. Maybe they tried to do it and the take just didn't happen. They just didn't have time to do a retake, whatever it might be. It's 80s. $3 million budget. Not really sure how much all that stuff would cost back then. In today's market, I know probably $3 million for a movie is not really much. I know there's a lot of people that actually do indie movies for a lot less, so can't really. I guess it goes both ways. So it depends on how you can adapt to everything else. But I would definitely recommend watching this movie. I've watched it a couple times, so I would definitely recommend checking it out. I thought it was a fun movie, and I don't know. I got a soft spot for Gary Busey and Yafit Koto. I butchered that name again. Whatever. He's a good co-star actor as well. So I'm going to probably check out some of their stuff as well. I would highly recommend it. On the Rotten scale, I would give it a 7.5 out of 10. Just because I am an idiot who likes bad movies. So hopefully you guys will enjoy that one. Which brings us to a point in time where we got to pick what we're watching next week. Alright, so I know nothing about this movie that we're picking next week, but it's on Tubi. I was just scrolling through my recommended section. I want to go back to horror movies for a little bit. This one is from 1988. The movie at hand has an hour and 28-minute runtime. It's called Hard Rock Nightmare. The description as read on Tubi: years after killing his grandfather, a boy returns with his friends who begin dying one by one, seemingly at the hands of his grandfather's spirit. Might not be a good movie. Might be a horrible movie. I don't know. I know nothing about it. Not watching the trailer. Not doing any research on it. Came up on my recommended feed on Tubi, so you can watch it next week, or watch it ahead of time, I should say, if you don't want to be spoiled on a movie that came out in 1988. But with that being said, as always, make sure to check out the outro band, Toronto-based horror band Blood Opera. All their links are in the description down below. You can find them linked directly to this episode and every episode if you're on Spotify, so it's an easy click. But if not, feel free to find them on YouTube, Amazon Music, Spotify, wherever you listen to music, you'll be able to find them. As always, make sure to check out all my social media links down below at Typhonstein. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, X, Threads, pretty much any social media site. I'm on there. I might not be fully active on all of them. I might only post a couple things here and there. But if you want to keep in touch, definitely check out the X account, Instagram account, Facebook, and the YouTube channel. Definitely check that out because there's hours upon hours of free content to keep you guys all happy. From daily shorts to community posts to old episodes of the podcast, new game videos, and live streams. Also, we're also monetized over there now, so that's a pretty cool thing. And the merch site is also linked directly to the YouTube channel as well, so more videos will be promoting the merch and whatnot. So it's all coming together. It's all fun. It's a good time, and hopefully you guys will check that out if you want, or if not, just check out the TeePublic link site directly. Just type it in. Links are down below in the description as well if you want to buy some podcast merch and some other artwork and whatnot. And if you want, go check out the CWC Canadian
Wrestling Championship page over on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube if you want some wrestling related content. And with that being said, we're gonna call this episode done, and I'll talk to you guys all later. Peace.
I am a whisper in the classroom, the writing on the wall. What's blood?